To switch topics slightly, from an operational and functional perspective,
Yeah.
how is Upasana A, sustainable, and B, how does it fit into the Auroville theme? From an operational perspective, how the textile is produced and things like that.
So, as a process wise, yes, we are sustainable. We even have a line of clothes which has a most of our clothes, not line of clothes, it has a zero chemical exposure in its whole process, where clothing is sometimes very heavily charged with the processes, which is very it's toxic. So that way we have managed to reduce. We have made it community centric. So in our clothing, people are very center of it. So it is made by hand, woven by hand, or made khadi, which is even textile thread is made by hand, not coming from industry or machine. And there are a lot of processes which take effort to link it to empowerment, whether it is a women empowerment in the village, or it is a craft empowerment, or it is a weavers and so on. So there is a constant effort to give the possibilities of value addition, not to machine but to hand. So that makes it Upasana in a one way conscious. For me, my sustainability is very tied to people and planet, and people are very focused of it. My sustainability is not about how much certification we got and who said what and who validated what. No, I have not gone that way, and I chose not to go that way. When I was working with 600 farmers, I had a proposal that certification for them had to come from Switzerland, and it costed some few lakhs of rupees at that time. And I was wondering, if I give that lakhs to farmer itself, then give them a paper of that money. And what is important? What is important in the rural community is that paper of validation is important. So in one way that I have defined my sense of being sustainable and conscious is also being a value of organization which is ethical and not so much paper driven, but really look at it. Is it right? Is that sounds right? Is that feels right? And if it does so, I kind of qualify myself that I will go this way. And I have let go of a paying organization, big organization, to tell me that, Uma, you're doing good job, and here is my paper say so. I somehow didn't believe in it. So it was one of the focus for me was to remain in India and work in Indian market. Was that I was very convinced that I actually have no time. I don't want to spend time waiting for somebody else to do an endorsement for what I am doing in my life. I have no time for it. I don't think like that. So my country believes me that what I do, at least they can come and see what I do. And I chose India to be my market, and that has where made Upasana as a conscious fashion hub today. If I was continued with I used to do export before, and I stopped it in 2006. For some strange reason, it came to me that it's over. We are not going to do export. We will work in the Indian market. And guess what? 2008 recession happened. So everybody had trouble except Upasana. We were like happy going lucky whatever we were doing. It was again pure luck. So that and my focus was that if India and China does not fixes their home affair business, world can talk about sustainability, but livestock sits in these two countries. So how can Europe change planetary movement if India and China does not participate? And if India and China has to participate, who will come and participate if not Indian or Chinese? So in my country, I'm going ahead. So again, I saw a picture which was a bit different, and I said, I'm going to take my small drum and start drumming and start saying things all over my country with something which I think it's right at this moment. And that's what I did for 10 years. And guess what? Everybody says this company is conscious. Maybe the hell lot of noise we have made around it, that must have done that. But I also, I said we also did some good work, and just not the noise we have made, but we have also done work. And my experiment has been that if you continue to do good, do you flop as a company? Do you flop as a business? Because why business is so scared of doing good? Why do we have to cut cost everywhere of fear of not being competitive, or we will be left out of the market, and so much of a reason it has, and it likes to be competitive, and that competitive means do what others are doing in the similar or even cheaper way and somehow be in the market. And that fear has costed a lot to us. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to part of that sequence or that song, so I created my own song. And India market has worked for us. Now I also saw that it's difficult to be very not righteous, very conscious in all the way. It becomes expensive. Things becomes expensive.
Absolutely.
And market economy, which is designed not to pay manufacturer. I don't know whether you are conscious of this part of being in the scientist group. In market economy, this economy is designed not to pay people who make things. It goes to the market itself, it goes to the shares, and it goes to distributions and so on, but not to the maker. So whenever I had to pay the maker, I knowing that data, I used to feel like, nay, isko to dena hai. I mean, we have to pay. We can't negotiate here. We will see how much money it makes eventually, but we can't negotiate here. So I would not negotiate with the weavers and the artisan to say, acha, isko cheap bana do, make something and give me some cheaper options. And no, it does not work. The very purpose of it is to honor them and see if that market can take it. So my thing is it's saying, yes, it does. It is possible. There are very few companies who is doing like that. So it becomes a little expensive. But if you're really going mainstream, this will become a norm. And we will also not think about buying a t-shirt in the same price of paying a coffee in the Starbucks. That's insane. Why would you do that? There is so much of a processes involved and life involved, and why would a t-shirt has to cost us a cup of coffee? And how the hell we have bought that story, and who sold us that story, and why didn't we question it? Why would India sell piece for $3.99 and still give discount of it? So my theory is that please don't buy on discount. You are signing up a campaign of promoting poverty. Don't do that. Don't promote this non-sustainable behavior which is constantly luring us. So these are it's more of like having this conversation with oneself and asking consumer to pause before you take a buy is what has become my lifetime job now, that I'm writing a book called Conscious Buying for Dummies. And I believe that everybody buys, everybody does. We need, buying is such a primitive art of love for us now, that how can I make that sacred? How can I make it empowering? So I'm working on that book, is soon coming up, and it says conscious clothing to conscious living. And yeah, that's a journey. Again, I took you for a sidewalk.
Excellent. It was super inspiring to hear about the journey. So the final point I would like to touch upon in this interview is some of your social development projects. So could you tell us which ones are closest to you and some that have really affected people? I'd love to hear about this.
Yeah, okay. So it's in a design journey when Upasana was happy, small company in the forest of Auroville, doing good and making profit. We have been profit-making company and sustainable, doing good and making profit, paying our bills nicely. That's what has happened. In between, one bankruptcy happened, but we survived that and we are alive, so good news. Now, what has happened in this journey, when there was a social unrest or some need, like 2004, we had tsunami. Just 6 kilometers down, Auroville was our coastline and brutally affected. Like Chennai to Nagapattinam area is like horror movie. And I was absolutely spellbound that what can I do? what can I do? And I was just asking this question constantly to myself. And I'm not trained in the social sector. I'm trained in a design and I run a company. And I just felt I had to do something. So we ended up creating a tiny doll called Tsunamika. And Tsunamika is a very, very teeny 5-6 centimeter tall doll. And these dolls are made out of scraps of fabric lying around. So I had picked up the small fabrics lying around the studio, or went to Tsunami Rehabilitation Center and asked people if they want to do something. And from that day till now, that it's 15 years old story, it's one of the only project post tsunami is still alive. And it has gone international. It has got the UNESCO's recognition. It got the President Award of Excellence on Contribution to Business and Society, and got into BBC, got into NDTV, and got. What I'm saying is that it became big, and whole purpose was to do trauma counseling with the community who needed that counseling. They were crying and eating and sleeping and getting up and crying again and eating and sleeping, and that cycle was going on. And when I went to the village, I didn't know what to do, so would just sit next to them and saying, "Enna venu? What can you do? What do you know?" And every time they would say, "Theriyade, I don't know." And only thing was hitting me that if one loses faith in life, how do I restore that? And I'm not God, I'm just one mortal like them, and I'm as feel in despair than like them. But what can I do when they seem to be not knowing anything? They simply have lost trust in life itself. Tsunamika doll came up very handy. We began to make doll, and she didn't have a name by then. We ended up making millions of them. Right now we have crossed 5 million, and now we have stopped counting. So still women make dolls, and she has become a symbol of hope. There is a story written to her. They've gone into 7 international translation. Last year Tsunamika became a voice of ocean and ecology, so that's a new wave is coming up. And my whole purpose is to link it to Blue Planet, or give it to BBC, or do something and saying, here is the story, and she's born in the ocean and she's committed to the ocean, and do something about it. Ride her, take her to the level. So I'm working on building Tsunamika as an icon, and icon for ecology and women empowerment. So that has been my first social project, which blew roof my head. I was the first one who was completely inspired to see the power of it, and cried in despair that, oh my God, this can be so powerful. I never knew that. I never knew a small intervention can become so powerful. And I learned design for social responsibility in a real time while doing it. And I was the first one who was learning it. I was the first one who was crying it. And I was first one who was executing at the same time. And it blew my mind that power of design can be so wow. And I did not know that this would continue. I had designed it for 1 year, and 1 year after to shut shop and go home and say bye to everybody. It's shameless that they still make Tsunamika. All the 6 villages continue to do their things. They still make radio television interview and whatnot, and they talk to media and blah blah blah. All goes on. It's a bit embarrassing for me, but it goes, and it's still Tsunamika has been inspiring. Second project I did was again textile based. If you notice, is most of my social intervention have textile based. Me being a fashion designer, the material I know is textile. So I ran a green campaign for India called Small Steps for Big Change, and it is a bag project which runs in many villages where women makes bag, a beautiful international quality bag, which when it comes to studio, it becomes a campaign, no more a product. Similar thing happened with Tsunamika, that we made this doll, but we never sold the doll. We gave away doll, and belief was that if she is a symbol of hope, nobody is rich enough to buy hope, and nobody is slimy enough to sell hope. And I'm not the one who sells hope. I can't. is priceless. So I'll give it to people. If they think that hope is worth while supporting, they can contribute to the project which does that, and we will make more doll, but we will not sell them. And that unleashed a power of another kind. Now it is a autopilot project. It runs by itself. Nobody supports it. Nobody funds it. It just runs by itself. And ladies who makes doll gets paid. That project had been became a social enterprise from day one, and it's functioning. It has a community which is connected to it. Then I worked with weavers in Benares. That became a big project when Mr. Modi got into power. He won from election from Benares, and our profile was shared with them for sure. And the day the month he got into power, the second month I was invited to Ministry of Textile talk as a advisory board from southern part of India for my work in Benares. And that was a huge honor. That, whoa, I simply had not expected that this can happen. Then farming project, we are working with the 600 farmers and going organic. That changed my life, changed my company, changed everything what I do today. And that because this proximity with the farmer and looking their life closely and completely feeling vulnerable about it. And I needed to act on it. And that's what the action has been. So currently how I see a forward going is the power of conscious business. And if business become conscious, and if that we are able to support, and it is just a highway of goodness. And that power, only business has it. The intelligence, the brightest mind of the planet is owned by industry. And what they do is that they do very silly things. Imagine if they are doing some good things, and if they are used to serve society. Wow. So I feel very high when I think about it.
Excellent. Congratulations on the success you've achieved so far, both as a social activist and as an entrepreneur. It was absolutely inspiring speaking to you. Thank you for taking the time out and speaking to Amicable Scientists.
Thank you.
Lovely. It was lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye. See you.